My brother is marrying my cheating ex. ATA for refusing to support them. I, 25, broke up with my ex, 24F, 3 years ago after she cheated on me a bunch of times. I didn't know she was cheating for a long time, but I caught her while she was out with her friends and I was out with mine. One of her friends spilled that she'd been hooking up with random guys in clubs every time she went out with them. I broke up with her that night. We'd been planning to move in together and had been looking at places while she was cheating on me almost every week. It was a huge deal for me. 5 years we'd been together too, and I loved her, but I don't believe she ever loved me. My family knows what happened, and it surprised them as much as me. My brother, 26 Maz, had a long-time girlfriend when I was with my ex and when we broke up. They broke up last year and then he started dating my ex. I didn't like it when I found out and I told him I felt like he betrayed me. He told me to grow up and he said he didn't owe me anything. My sisters, 22F and 29F, are on my side and think he's shitty to date her, but the rest of the family are like, maybe she's grown and it's not great, but let's not fall out over this. I have never supported their relationship, and a few weeks before Christmas, they announced they were getting married and sent out wedding invites for March of this year. It's a backyard wedding, and my brother asked the whole family to help pull it together. I told everyone I'm not going or helping, and my sisters joined me. My brother's pissed. Our other two brothers, 24M and 28M, and our parents are like, please don't do this. My brothers think I'm being shitty to the other brother and should just let it go and be happy for him and let him get egg on his face when she cheats on him and be glad it's not me. My brother told me he'd support me. I asked him how he'd like for me to find his ex and marry her, and he was like, that's different, and their breakup was different. I told him he was marrying the woman who cheated on me, and he doesn't see why. That would piss me off. It's a whole thing, but I'm standing my ground, as are my sisters. The rest of the family are doing everything to change my mind. Story 2. Eta, for kissing my boyfriend in front of his ex, when I didn't even realize the ex was there. I've been a long-time lurker, but I really need some advice on this. Me, 27M, and my boyfriend Jamie, 28M, have been dating for over a year and he's legit my favorite person. Before we were together, he dated the son of family friends, Don, 28M. They dated when they were teenagers and broke up once uni hit. Jamie was the one who initiated the breakup, and he told me Don seemed to take it fine, but he'd had his suspicions over the years that he never fully got over it. Jamie was very open with me that he still has to see him at family functions, and asked me if I was okay with that. I'm not a control freak. I told him I trust him, and when I was eventually invited to family things too, besides one awkward meeting, we steered clear of each other. A couple days ago, we were at Jamie's mom's 64F birthday party. The weather was slightly warmer, so we were all hanging out in the backyard. Jamie had his arm around my waist, promise this is relevant, while we were just talking to each other. Me, being very in love with my boyfriend, leaned in and gave him a kiss at some point. Not some big sloppy makeout, just a 5-second thing, nothing crazy, right? What I didn't see before I leaned in was Don standing near us with Jamie's sister, Lana, 25F. When I saw them after I pulled away from Jamie, they immediately started whispering to each other and scowling at me. I gave them a funny look and took a very confused Jamie back inside. He asked me what was up, and I told him about Don and Lana, and he rolled his eyes. Lana, with her perfect timing, came inside too and told me in a very tight voice that we were being dicks for kissing and groping each other right in front of Don. I was so shocked as me and Lana always got along, but I couldn't even get a word in before Jamie got upset with her, saying that he didn't care if Don was still feeling like a bruised peach after so many years. He towed me away after that, and I was trying not to giggle as we just enjoyed the rest of the party. When we got home, Jamie had a bunch of messages from his family about how disrespectful I was, and that they wanted both of us to apologize before the next family event. We're both pretty weirded out and I just need some outside opinions. Was I really that wrong for kissing him? Story 3. Ita for breaking up with my fiancé and also refusing to speak to my family because they defend her. I, 31M, broke up with my ex-fiancé, 31F, about 6 months ago. I had been with her for 6 years and it was going extremely well. We were due to marry in a few months, and I was excited to have children with her. Honestly, I do still love and miss her, but trust is important too, and I don't think I could trust her again. My ex-fiancé was very well loved by my parents and siblings. Anyway, one day my then-fiancé thought it would be funny to prank me, so she got one of her work friends, who I had never met, to knock on our door one day, and when I answered the door, this man who she knew from work claimed that he was married to my fiancé. He claimed that he had married her a couple of years before. I met her, and that she had walked out on him and was now planning to commit bigamy with me. She acted like it was true and pretended to be shocked to see him before they revealed it was a prank. As soon as this was over, I told my now ex-fiancé that it was not funny, and I didn't think I could ever trust her again, so I left her the same day. Anyway, my family, who is very fond of her, tried to convince me to get back with her. They were angry with me and accused me of overreacting, and my parents in particular claimed that what she did was funny, and I should have just laughed it off. I basically told them all that, unless they would accept that I did the right thing and apologize to me, I wouldn't associate with them. This was 6 months ago, and I have staunchly refused any attempt from my family to reconnect, even though they are upset that I'm not speaking to them. I have continued to maintain that if they want me to forgive them, they need to accept that I did not overreact, and I would like them to apologize, but they have still refused to do so. So I'm still not speaking to them. Story 4. Aita for refusing to be the best man at my twin brother's wedding after he proposed to my ex. So I, 27M, have an identical twin brother, Ryan. Growing up, we were super close, always doing everything together. That was until a few years ago when things started to get weird between us because of, well, dating drama. About 3 years ago, I was in a serious relationship with my ex, Emily, 26F. We dated for nearly 2 years and even talked about getting engaged. Things ended suddenly when she told me she wasn't ready for a serious commitment. I was heartbroken, but I respected her decision and moved on, or so I thought. Fast forward to last month, Ryan dropped a bomb on me. He's engaged to Emily. Yes, my Emily, the one I was still quietly getting over. I had no idea they were even dating. He told me they started seeing each other about a year after we broke up and kept it a secret because they didn't want to hurt me. Yeah. Great job on that one. Now here's where it gets worse. Ryan asked me to be his best man. I was in complete shock. I told him there's no way I could stand up there and watch him marry someone I was in love with, let alone celebrate it. He got defensive and said I was being petty, that I needed to grow up and let go of the past. Our parents are backing him up, saying love works in mysterious ways and that I should support my brother's happiness. Meanwhile, some friends think I'm justified and that it's insane he even asked me. Ryan and I haven't spoken much since the argument, and the wedding planning is underway. I feel like I'm stuck between being seen as the bitter, jealous twin or losing my relationship with my brother entirely. Aita for refusing to be his best man? Would I be an AH if I didn't even attend the wedding? Story 5. Aita for wanting a divorce after my husband lied to me about buying a transmission and used me in his lie. My husband and I have had a wishy-washy relationship since the beginning, mostly because I told him I don't want to be in a relationship with a liar, and before we got married, I caught him in a lie and told him I would end our relationship if I ever caught him again. Fast forward 4 years, we are married and have 2 kids. He was a prior Marine and told me his car group buddy, that was a prior Marine, had just died from an apparent suicide, and he had just been in the works with buying a transmission from him. He told me this long story about how this guy was in a relationship with this girl that used him, and when he died, he left a will that he had just written prior to his death, leaving everything to her. Before he passed, this guy and his chick were going to move and needed to store one of his cars at our house until he could come back for it. Since it was still there after his passing, the girl had asked the deceased guy's friends group where this car went. She contacted my husband, and he told her that he was given the car in a trade with other car parts, and that he had paid $6,500 for this transmission that was sitting in the dead guy's house. I was mad that he didn't get a receipt or anything before this guy passed, and it was strange how it all went down. Something just didn't sit right with me, but I couldn't put my finger on it at the moment. So for the next few weeks, my husband has been talking back and forth with the chick about the car and the transmission that he paid for, and was trying to get it from her possession. It was hard, since she had just moved from the area and was trying to sort, though, an estate 900 miles away. Since this guy was a big car guy, he had a house full of car parts that this girl had to sort, though. My husband saw the transmission listed on FB because the girl told him that he needed to prove in some way that the car part was truly his, or would try and sell it like the original guy did. My husband kept messaging her back and forth and was very adamant about getting this part for his car. He was looking on FB to see when she would be back in the area. That way, if she went to the house, he would be able to meet her there and grab the transmission. We live about an hour from this guy's house, so coordination of when this chick could have been there becomes harder. He essentially tracked her whereabouts through posts she posted publicly on FB, and when she was in the area, he was going to go get the part. He told me that the car that was left behind on our property was going to be a car he fixed up for me to drive, although I really didn't care. The girl was asking about the car and had said that it was hers and she wanted it. Somewhere along the line, my husband had told me that he actually didn't pay the $6,500 for the transmission, but that's what it was worth, and he really only said, "2 This didn't change my anger towards the fact he never got a receipt from this guy, and the whole situation would have been gone over quickly if not for this. Fast forward again, and the girl is on her way to being in town. I told him to just trade the stupid car for that transmission and just be done with it. It had been dragging on so long, and I'm leaving out much detail of his back and forth to save my fingers the write-up. She was okay with the deal. He loaded up the car and went and scooped up the transmission. I was home and happy this whole ordeal was finally over, and I didn't have to hear about it anymore, about how terrible this chick was to this dude. After he gets home from getting this transmission, I'm outside loading my son in the car to take him to Grandpa's house for the day. As I'm standing there saying my goodbyes to him, he leans over and whispers in my ear, "I never actually paid for that transmission. I just wanted you to think that I did so when we went to confront this girl. You didn't hesitate in backing me up." Smiled at me as he pulled his hug away like, "Isn't that great? We screwed this chick over." The wheels in my brain started spinning out of control as I sat in the car. I smiled, kissed him, and drove out the driveway. All the info about this car part and the details start overwhelming me while I was driving. By the time I got to Grandpa's house, which is about 15 away, I was shaking so bad it was hard to fake a smile to his family. I dropped my son off and called my husband to make more clear about this whole car part story before I completely just lost it. He involved me so deeply into his lie and used me as pawn to get a free transmission from his dead car buddy who just committed suicide over this chick, and you want me to lie to her face for the sake of your own gain? I think I cried and screamed, so much because he crossed a major boundary in an unrepairable way. I don't know how to look at him the same since we have other things that are troubling besides this situation. How can I be with someone that bluntly lied to my face for months over this personal gain, all for what? To top it off, he could have afforded to just pay the price she was asking, and he'd done with it all from the beginning. I told him the depths that he lied to me was on the level of a serial killer. I no longer want to be in my marriage because it just feels like everything he says now is a straight-up lie. Especially, I love you. Atar for wanting a divorce because my husband lied to me over a car part, amongst other things.